Is Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett happening next? That's something we're going to talk about in today's video. My name is James Lynch. So Alvaro Colomero, who I've mentioned before on this channel, really close to the Ilia Topuria camp here, has a pretty interesting quote courtesy of Championship Rounds. Let's go read the tweet here. He says, with Ilia Topuria not fighting in January, so again, something I've been saying for a while, that I didn't think Topuria was going to be on the Paramount card. He's now doubling down on that here. With Ilia Topuria not fighting in January, it's rumored that Justin Gaethje will fight Paddy Pimblett at UFC 324 on the first UFC Paramount card. Multiple sources have told me that the fight is to be held at UFC 324 is Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje. I also heard DC say, my opinion is that this will be the main event. My interpretation is that the winner of this fight, I know there's some broken English here in the translation, but he says, my interpretation of the winner of this fight will face Ilia in the spring or summer unless Topuria is given the fight against Islam Makhachev either at the White House or International Fight Week. In this whole equation, Arman Tsarukyan is out of the picture in the short term. I think he deserves to be next on merit, but that's how this could all play out. And this is what Alvaro's referring to as well, is the comment here from Daniel Cormier, courtesy of Red Corner MMA, saying that the UFC wanted Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett and insists no fight deserves more to happen than Ilia Arman. Of course, you saw my video yesterday or a couple days ago about how I'm in agreement. I think Arman should be next. This is really interesting. So this is a fight, my understanding, that kind of came together the last couple days. We were hearing some rumblings about maybe Alex Pereira and Carlos Ulberg. This fight makes a lot of sense. I actually like this fight a lot. I think this is what a lot of fans wanted, was another fight for Paddy Pimblett. And this also satisfies Justin Gaethje, who also was sort of holding out for a title shot. Now, they didn't mention it here, but what we're sort of hearing is that this could potentially be for an interim strap. Another tweet, I think, that leads us to this fight happening. Steve Jeffs, who's very good friends with Paddy Pimblett. I don't know if you guys know the backstory. Paddy shouted him out in a post-fight interview a number of fights ago. They text with each other. Steve posting this saying, Paddy's fighting for the strap in January. Obviously can't disclose who, but you heard it here first. It'll be a surprise to a lot of y'all. Official announcement this week. Steve never misses on the Badman news, which is true. He's very close to Paddy Pimblett. Again, nothing official, but these are little clues that come together. And then add in the other thing, which is Dana White saying he's going to make fight announcements at the halftime of the Chiefs-Cowboy game. Of course, it's American Thanksgiving right now. Adam Martin, shout out to him, my good friend. He had a tweet yesterday mentioning, like, they're probably going to make a bunch of announcements during the halftime. But I wanted to get ahead of this because there looks like a lot of smoke here for this matchup. And like I said, I think this makes a lot of sense. So why would there be a title? So Steve mentions a title. Interim title is what I'm hearing potentially happening because it sounds like Topuria is, again, not going to be fighting until maybe the spring or summer, like it kind of mentions here, White House or an International Fight Week. So a couple of things I forgot to factor in. So I mentioned how I didn't think Ilia was fighting on January. Part of the reason was he was helping his brother prepare for his last fight, which just took place last weekend, Alex Topuria fighting Beksat. But the other thing I forgot about is that obviously Topuria is going through a separation with his wife. So that's probably another reason why, if you're going through that right now, probably don't want to be having a title fight going on while that's all happening. So that, again, nothing 100% confirmed, but that's my understanding. Like I said, like I've been saying for the last couple weeks now, Topuria is not going to be fighting on the Paramount card. This is not a bad second option, in my opinion, because again, for Gaethje, I do understand the sort of the argument for him to be in the title picture as well. He did the UFC a favor a number of fights ago at UFC 300 fighting Max Holloway, when in all reality, he could have fought for the title, in my opinion, back then, because of course he beat Dustin Poirier. So Gaethje kind of did the UFC a favor. I feel like this is their way of rounding back and helping Gaethje out a little bit. Obviously, Gaethje would have liked to fight Topuria for the undisputed belt, but I think this makes sense. And for Paddy Pimblett, look, for all you people out there who were talking about how, Paddy's a big name and this is why we should, it should be Paddy against Ilia Topuria because he's a bigger name. I think this satisfies that part too, where Paddy is getting a big opportunity, even though it's an interim title. He's still getting that title fight, which some people felt he needed. But then on the merit side of things, which is where a lot of people sort of felt, this is a good test for Paddy Pimblett. Listen, Paddy Pimblett gets past Justin Gaethje. You're not going to hear me complain once about him fighting for a title here soon. I still think Arman should be first, but I don't have any problem if Paddy Pimblett goes out there and beats Justin Gaethje of him fighting for the title next. That's totally fine with me. Don't have an issue with that whatsoever. And I think for Gaethje, again, I don't want to see Gaethje just retire waiting up for a title shot that never comes. I think this is good for Gaethje. Again, I do feel like the UFC, put him in a tough spot with him taking the Holloway fight and him losing that fight. I think we should reward Gaethje a little bit. I don't know. I'm one of those people that, like, I think if you do the UFC a favor, that should come back and help you out in the long run as far as, like, him getting an opportunity like this. So, yeah, as of right now, sort of what we know, and I mentioned this in another video, it looks like it's going to be Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes. Paddy Pimblett, Justin Gaethje, I think it's a good fight. Is this like the type of fight, Paddy and Gaethje, that like is a historic fight that's going to be on this, first Paramount card? Does that really fit the bill? No, but I think it's a good fight, and I actually prefer this fight over Charles Oliveira and Max Holloway because that's for a BMF belt. And you guys know, if you've been watching my content on my channel, I'm not a fan of the BMF belt. I don't think it's needed. I think you can just make fights without having a BMF belt on there. I don't mind the interim title here, like I said, if Topuria is out, but kind of my view on interim titles anyways is if the champ's going to be out for a year, then you strip him or then you make an interim title. I don't think you need to do an interim title because Topuria just won the title in July. It's not that long ago. It's less than a year, but I guess if they want to add the title fight on this big card to make it sound better, that's fine. But I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments, but I really do not care about interim titles. Like they could just call this a number one contenders fight and make it 5 rounds. And to me, it's totally fine. Like, why do we need to do interim belts? Like, you rarely ever remember an interim champion. I don't know. I don't think that's part's needed. If they want to throw it on there, whatever. But to me, that doesn't really matter. I'm still going to watch this fight, whether there's an interim belt on there or not. So I'll do a full breakdown if and when this does become official. But like I said, it looks very likely that this fight is going to happen. And it makes sense. Again, these are 2 available fighters, 2 fighters who haven't been booked, 2 fighters we haven't heard about. And again, Alvaro Colmenero. Can't say enough good things about this guy. He is very much connected with the Ilia Topuria camp. Again, he was the only guy, as far as I saw, that got an interview with Topuria at UFC Qatar. So he is someone that is very close to the situation. And if he's mentioning this about multiple sources, and then you got DC here mentioning it, right? Like I said, mentioning this is what the UFC wanted. Then you got Steve Jeff. So again, I know Steve's not a reporter or insider, but he is good friends with Paddy. This does look likely like this is going to happen. So just something to keep in mind here. If you plan on watching the Paramount card or going to the Paramount card, I think this is a very good fight. So it kind of satisfies both needs. And I think that the big thing as well, too, because there'll probably be people being like, oh, well, Gaethje's older or whatever. I mean, Gaethje's still getting good wins. Like, he beat Fiziev. Like, he's... again, we're not that far removed from him beating Dustin Poirier, which, everyone raved about Poirier's performance against Islam. Gaethje was the last guy to finish him, right? So that's super impressive. So yeah, I just think the UFC, listen, I criticize the UFC a lot about some of their decisions. I think this is a good move with the circumstances involved. Obviously, if the UFC had it their way and everyone had it their way, you're seeing Topuria and Arman on this Paramount card, or you're seeing Topuria on this card, period. This is a next good option if Topuria is not available. And also, I understand it from Topuria's perspective. I know a lot of people are calling him, all types of things about him not fighting on this card. But it's understandable if he's got some personal stuff he's dealing with, which again is something I didn't mention in the last videos, that I do think he's going through, he is going through a separation with his wife. You probably don't want to be fighting if you're dealing with that as well. So you can take a little bit more time off, get that all taken care of. And then we can, watch this fight and then see what happens. And who's to say they can't just do Arman and Ilia and then the winner of this fight fights the winner of that? Like, what's the big deal? What's the rush, I guess, is my question here. So yeah, again, I will keep you guys updated if and when this is official. But right now, looking very likely, Paddy Pimblett, Justin Gaethje, headliner for UFC 324 for the interim title. So I'm going to know what you guys think in the comment section below. Is this the fight to make based off the circumstances? I think it is. I like this fight a lot better than Charles Oliveira and Max Holloway. I like this fight a lot better than Alex Pereira and Carlos Ulberg, which are some of the fights we heard that were going to be on this card. Keep an eye out for Dana White on the Thanksgiving, portion of the Chiefs and who are the Chiefs playing? Cowboys game. There you go. So keep an eye on that, and we'll get some announcements tonight, and I will try and keep you guys updated as much as I can. I'm Canadian, so I'm not celebrating Thanksgiving. We had ours a month ago. Anyways, follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @Lynch on Sports. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.